June walked slowly down the empty street. His comedy show tonight had not gone well. The crowd was small, and they did not laugh much at his jokes. Rain started to fall, making his mood even worse. At least I got paid, June said to himself, counting the small stack of bills in his pocket. Ahead of him, a food truck was closing for the night. The smell of spicy food made June's stomach growl. He hadn't eaten since lunch. "Hey, are you still open?" June called out. A man with messy hair stuck his head out from the truck window. "Technically no, but you look sad." "I'm Han. What do you want?" "Anything hot and cheap," June said. Han laughed. "Story of my life. Here, try this." He handed June a paper bowl of noodles. As June took his first bite, the sky above them lit up with a strange blue light. Both men looked up. "Did you put something weird in these noodles?" June asked. Han shook his head. "No, but I'm seeing it too." The blue light grew brighter, and suddenly both men felt a pulling sensation. Their feet lifted off the ground. "What is happening?" Han yelled, grabbing onto his food truck, which was also rising into the air. "I think we're being abducted by aliens," June shouted back. "Like in the movies." "That's not funny," Han said. "I'm not joking this time." The blue light surrounded them completely. There was a flash, and then both men found themselves standing in a large metal room. Han's food truck crashed down beside them, denting the floor. 3 tall figures stood watching them. The creatures had gray skin, 4 arms each, and large black eyes. They wore matching silver uniforms with strange symbols. One of the aliens stepped forward. It held a small device that made clicking noises. "Human specimens captured for evaluation." The device translated. "Error noted. Food vehicle not intended for collection." June looked at Han, then back at the aliens. Hello. I'm June. This is Han. And that's his food truck, not a vehicle." "Well, I guess it is a vehicle, but—" "Silence," the alien commanded. "I am Captain Glix of the Galactic Council Evaluation Team. You will be tested to determine if your species is ready to join galactic society." Han burst out laughing. "Is this a prank? Did my cousin set this up? The costumes are really good." Captain Glix looked confused. "This is no prank, human. This is serious council business." June stepped forward. "So you're actual aliens from space, and you want to see if humans are good enough for your club?" "Essentially correct," said Glix. June grinned. "Cool. I've got some great alien jokes. Want to hear one?" Glix looked at the other aliens, who shrugged their 4 shoulders. "Why not?" "Let us hear your joke," said Glix. "Why don't aliens visit Earth?" "Because of the terrible reviews. Mostly harmless, but the inhabitants keep trying to probe us." Han laughed loudly. The aliens stared in confusion. "I do not understand," said Glix. "There is no factual basis for this statement." A smaller alien stepped forward. Unlike the others, she looked almost human, except for her slightly gray skin and large eyes. "Captain, I believe this is what humans call humor. I am Su Bin, your cultural translator. I have studied Earth communications." "Ah, a Korean name," said June. "Are you from Earth?" Su Bin looked uncomfortable. "My heritage is complicated. Half human, half Zordian. From a previous mission." Han whistled. "Previous mission. So we're not the first humans you've grabbed." "This is not relevant," said Glix sharply. "We will begin tests immediately." "Can I at least finish my noodles first?" asked June, pointing to the bowl he was still holding. Glix made a frustrated noise. "The specimens are not taking this seriously. Note that in the report." Han grinned at June. "I think we're already failing their test." "Story of my life," said June, using Han's own words. "Bombing on stage, and now bombing with aliens." The aliens looked at each other in alarm. "Bombing," Glix said nervously. "You possess explosives." Han and Jun burst out laughing again. Subin sighed. This is going to be a long evaluation. Captain Glix led Jun and Han into a large white room. The walls were covered with strange screens showing Earth images, cities, oceans, animals, and people. This is our testing chamber, Glix explained. We will measure your intelligence and cultural understanding. Han looked around. Nice place. Could use some art though. Maybe a plant. Glix ignored him and pointed to 2 chairs in the center of the room. Sit. The human sat down. Subin stood nearby with a tablet, ready to take notes. A tall alien with purple skin entered the room. I am Diplomat Sor, it said through the translator. I will conduct your evaluation. Sor pressed a button, and a 3D image of a complex puzzle appeared between Jun and Han. Please solve this basic children's puzzle, Sor said. Jun and Han stared at the floating shape. It had dozens of moving parts that shifted and changed colors. This is a children's puzzle, Han asked. What do your adult puzzles look like? Just try, Subin whispered. Jun reached out and touched a blue part of the puzzle. It spun and turned red. Han touched another piece, and the whole puzzle changed shape. After 10 minutes of random touching, the puzzle suddenly chimed and collapsed into a perfect sphere. We did it, Jun said, high-fiving Han. Sor looked surprised. Interesting. Most species take 3 days to solve that. We're just lucky, Han said with a wink. Now, cultural assessment, Sor continued. Please explain this human concept, comedy. Jun sat up straight. This was his area of expertise. Comedy is when something unexpected happens that makes you laugh. What is laughing? Asked Glix, who had been watching from the corner. You don't know what laughing is, Han asked. It's like this. He let out a fake laugh. The alien stepped back, alarmed. Is that a warning sound? Sor asked, looking nervous. No, it's a happy sound, Jun explained. When humans find something funny, we make this noise. Show us something funny, Glix demanded. Jun stood up. Okay, here's a classic. Why did the chicken cross the road? The aliens looked at each other in confusion. To get to the other side. Jun finished. Silence filled the room. I don't understand, Sor said. Is the chicken avoiding danger? Is this a survival strategy? Han sighed. Maybe we need better jokes. He turned to Glix. Hey Captain, how many tentacles does it take to screw in a light bulb? Subin gasped. Han, please don't. I don't have tentacles, Glix said, sounding offended. And what is a light bulb? Jun decided to try physical comedy. He pretended to slip and fall, then bounced back up with a silly face. Surprisingly, Sor made a strange whistling sound. Diplomat Sor, are you okay? Subin asked. That movement pattern, Sor said. It created an unexpected neural response in my brain. It was pleasant. You laughed, Jun said excitedly. You actually laughed at my joke. Sor looked embarrassed. Please don't tell the council. Meanwhile, Han had wandered over to his food truck, which the aliens had brought into the room. Anyone hungry? He asked. I make the best spicy noodles in Seoul. Food is not permitted during testing, Glix said firmly. But Sor moved closer to the truck. What is that smell? It's interesting. That's the power of garlic and chili, Han said proudly. Want to try some? Before Glix could object, Sor was already at the food truck window. Subin looked worried. This is highly irregular. Relax, Jun told her. Food brings people together. Even alien people, I guess. Soon, Sor was making more whistling sounds as it ate Han's noodles. Even Glix eventually tried a small bowl. The flavor creates unexpected sensations, Glix admitted, similar to your humor. Jun smiled at Han. I think we're doing better at this test now. As the aliens ate, Sor secretly pressed a button on its uniform, recording the humans' jokes and conversations. The council must see this, Soar whispered to Subin. These humans are unlike any species we've encountered. That's what worries me, Subin replied, watching June tell another joke to a group of junior officers who had wandered in, attracted by the food smell and strange noises. One thing was becoming clear. Humans were causing quite a stir on the alien ship. 3 days had passed since June and Han arrived on the alien ship. They had taken many tests. Some were easy, some were hard, but most were just strange. Draw what makes you happy, Glix had asked yesterday. June drew a crowd of people laughing. Han drew his food truck with a long line of customers. Now, June was walking down a quiet hallway when he heard voices from behind a door. He stopped to listen. The humans are dangerous, said a voice that sounded like Glix. Their humor affects our brains in unpredictable ways. But they seem harmless, another voice argued. It was Soar. They just want to make others happy. June pressed his ear closer to the door. Look at these brain scans, Glix continued. When exposed to human jokes, our neural patterns change. Some species might find this pleasant, but others could be completely disabled by it. June's eyes widened. Jokes as weapons. That was a new idea. My recommendation is clear, Glix said firmly. Earth must be quarantined indefinitely. No contact allowed. June backed away from the door and ran to find Han and Subin. He found them in the ship's food area. Han was teaching an alien chef how to make spicy noodles. Guys, we have a problem, June said breathlessly. The aliens think our jokes are dangerous. They want to cut Earth off from the rest of the galaxy. Subin looked worried. Captain Glix has always been cautious about new species. But that's not fair, Han said. They can't judge all humans based on just us. June thought for a moment. What if we show them the good side of human humor? Not just silly jokes, but how we use humor to connect with each other, to deal with problems. Like a presentation, Subin asked. More like a show, Jun said, his eyes lighting up. A cultural showcase. Han grinned. I can provide the food. Nothing brings people together like good food. They spent the rest of the day planning. Subin helped them get permission to use a large meeting room. She also invited several important aliens from the ship. Just be yourselves, she advised. But maybe a little less chaotic. The next day, June stood nervously in front of 20 aliens. Some looked interested, others looked bored, and Glix looked suspicious. Thank you for coming, June began. We want to show you what human humor really means to us. He started with a presentation about comedy history. He had prepared charts and facts, trying to be serious and scientific. But after 10 minutes, the aliens were looking at their devices or talking among themselves. They were bored. June looked at Han, who shrugged. This isn't working, June whispered. Then do what you do best, Han said. Make them laugh. June took a deep breath and stepped forward again. Actually, let me just show you instead. He started telling jokes and funny stories about his life on Earth. He talked about his worst performances, his family, and his dreams. He acted out the stories, making funny faces and voices. Slowly, the aliens started paying attention. Some made the whistling sound that meant they were laughing. Even Glix seemed interested. From the back of the room, another alien watched quietly. He wore a maintenance uniform but stood with perfect posture. His name tag read Do-hyun. During a pause, Do-hyun approached Subin. These humans are interesting, he said, but do they know what they're doing? What do you mean? Subin asked. The council takes these evaluations very seriously, Do-hyun said. And humor is complicated in galactic politics. Who are you really? Subin asked, noticing his unusual manner. Do-hyun smiled slightly. Just someone who understands both humans and the council. These two will need help navigating what comes next. At the front of the room, Jun had finished a story that had even Soar doubled over with whistling laughter. And that, June concluded, is how we use humor on Earth, to learn, to heal, and to connect. Glix stood up. This presentation has been informative. I will update my report. As the aliens left, Han high-fived June. We did it. But Subin wasn't smiling. This isn't over yet, she said. The final decision comes from the Galactic Council itself. The what now? June asked. The real test, Du Hyun said, stepping forward, is just beginning. The next day, June and Han were told they would meet important members of the Galactic Council. Subin helped them prepare. You need to be formal, she warned. No jokes, no food, just facts about Earth. June nodded seriously. I can be professional. Sure you can, Han said, rolling his eyes. Do Hyun appeared at their door. It's time, he said. The council representatives have arrived. They walked to a large room with a raised platform at one end. About 50 aliens sat in rows facing the platform. They wore fancy uniforms with many badges and symbols. Those are the representatives from 25 different planets. Subin whispered, very important people. Glix stood at a small table on the platform. Attention, he called. Today we present our findings on the species known as humans. June and Han were led to seats at the front of the room. Glix began showing charts and data on a large screen. Humans are physically weak but show unusual adaptability, Glix explained. Their technology is primitive. However, they have developed a mental ability that concerns us. The screen showed brain scans with colorful patterns. This ability, called humor, creates unpredictable neurological responses in many species, Glix continued. In some cases, it can temporarily disable normal brain function. The aliens murmured worriedly. June frowned. This wasn't going well. He looked at Han, who seemed equally concerned. We will now allow the humans to present information about their species, Glix announced. June walked slowly to the platform. His mind raced. He had prepared a serious speech about Earth's achievements, but looking at the bored faces of the aliens, he knew it wouldn't work. He took a deep breath. Thank you for this opportunity, he began formally. Then he smiled. I was going to tell you about Earth's history and science, but honestly, that's not what makes humans special. Subin looked alarmed. Du Hyun leaned forward with interest. What makes us special is how we connect with each other, Jung continued. And yes, humor is a big part of that. He told a simple story about how he used jokes to help his little sister when she was scared of a storm. The aliens watched curiously. Humor isn't a weapon, June explained. It's a tool for making hard things easier. He noticed a few aliens nodding. Encouraged, he told another story, this one funnier. Some aliens made the whistling laugh sound. Suddenly, the door opened and several off-duty crew members peeked in. They had heard the laughing and were curious. More aliens began to enter the room. Han joined June on the platform. Since you're all here, he said, why not try some Earth food too? He revealed a tray of small food samples he had prepared earlier. Glix looked horrified. This is not protocol. But the council representatives were already standing up, moving closer, interested in the food and stories. Do Hyun stepped onto the platform. Perhaps I can help translate some cultural references, he offered. His voice was confident, and even Glix seemed to respect him. Soon, the formal meeting had turned into something very different. June told jokes, Han served food, and Du Hyun explained Earth customs. The room filled with alien whistling laughter. One tall alien approached Subin. What is happening here? She asked. This was supposed to be a standard evaluation. This is what humans do, Subin explained. They turn formal events into parties. They connect through shared experiences. The alien watched as her colleagues enjoyed themselves. Interesting, she said. And concerning. Why concerning? Subin asked. Because not everyone in the council will appreciate this. Disruption, the alien replied. Some will see it as dangerous. Across the room, A group of aliens stood apart from the others. They watched with cold eyes and did not laugh or eat. Who are they? June asked Do-hyun, noticing the unfriendly group. The rigid faction, Do-hyun answered quietly, led by High Counselor Vrux, and they just decided Earth is a problem that needs to be solved. June's smile faded. That doesn't sound good. It's not, Do-hyun said, but you've also made some friends today. He nodded toward the aliens who were laughing and trying Han's food. And in galactic politics, friends matter. The next morning, June woke up to loud knocking on his door. It was Han, looking excited. Get up. You won't believe what's happening, Han said. June rubbed his eyes. What time is it? Time doesn't matter. We're in space, Han replied. But the important thing is, we're going to the Council homeworld. We're what? June sat up quickly. Han nodded. Do-hyun just told me. Apparently, our little show yesterday caused a big argument among the council members. Now they all want to meet us in person. Soon, June, Han, Soo-bin, and Do-hyun were on a smaller ship heading toward a large planet with 3 moons. The planet was mostly blue, with swirls of white clouds. That's Centris, Do-hyun explained, the capital world of the Galactic Council. It's beautiful, Jung said, staring out the window. And dangerous, added Soo-bin. The Council controls thousands of worlds. Their decisions affect billions of beings. And they're arguing about us, Han asked. Because we tell jokes. Do-hyun nodded. The Council values order and predictability. Human humor is neither. As they approached the planet, Jun noticed hundreds of ships of different sizes and shapes. Each ship represents a different world or species, Do-hyun explained. The Galactic Council has existed for over 10,000 years, and Earth knew nothing about it, Jun said quietly. The ship landed in a massive city with tall, crystal-like buildings. They were led to a large tower in the center. Inside, they met a tall, elegant alien woman. Unlike the others, she looked almost human, except for her silver hair and slightly purple skin. I am Counselor Myray, she said, her voice warm. Welcome to Centris. June noticed she didn't need a translator. You speak our language perfectly, he said. Myray smiled. Like Soo-bin, I am part human. My mother visited Earth many years ago. Counselor Myray leads the progressive faction, Do-hyun explained. They believe the Galactic Council should welcome new species and ideas. And the rigid faction thinks the opposite, Han asked. Myray's smile faded. Yes, High Counselor Vrux leads those who fear change and unpredictability. Unfortunately, they are the majority right now. She led them to a large window overlooking the city. You must understand what's happening. Your visit has become part of a bigger political debate. About human humor, Jun asked. About the future of the galaxy, Myray corrected. For the past 50 years, we have faced a growing threat. The Void Collective. What's that? Han asked. A machine civilization from the outer regions, Myray explained. They are perfectly logical, with no creativity or emotion. They see organic life as inefficient and chaotic. And they're attacking you, Jun asked. Myray nodded. Slowly but steadily. Our traditional defenses and strategies don't work against them. They adapt too quickly. What does this have to do with us? Han asked. The progressive faction believes that human unpredictability might be exactly what we need, Myray said. Your humor creates patterns of thought that machines cannot follow or predict. Do-hyun stepped forward, but the rigid faction sees only the disruption humans cause. They don't see the potential benefit. A loud alarm suddenly sounded. Myray looked worried. The full council session is beginning, she said. You will be called to speak soon. Remember, this isn't just about Earth anymore. The whole galaxy is watching. As they walked toward the council chamber, they passed a group of stern-looking aliens. One tall figure with gray skin and cold eyes stared at them. High Counselor Vrux, Su-bin whispered, leader of the rigid faction. Vrux's eyes narrowed as he watched the humans. So these are the creatures causing all the trouble, he said loudly. They don't look special to me. June started to reply, but Han stopped him. Not now, Han whispered. This isn't a comedy club. This is politics. June nodded, suddenly understanding how serious their situation was. As the doors to the council chamber opened, revealing hundreds of alien representatives seated in a vast circular room, Jun felt his heart race. Stay calm, Do-hyun advised. Just be yourselves. That's what I'm afraid of, Jun muttered as they stepped into the chamber. The council chamber was bigger than any room Jun had ever seen. Thousands of aliens sat in circular rows that rose high above the floor. In the center was a small platform where Jun, Han, Su-bin, and Do-hyun now stood. Beings of the Galactic Council, a loud voice announced. We present the human specimens for your consideration. Jun winced at the word specimens. He felt like a bug under a microscope. A tall alien in elaborate robes stepped forward. I am Grand Speaker Lux, he said. I will lead today's hearing. The Grand Speaker explained the rules. The humans would answer questions. They must be truthful and respectful at all times. First question, the Grand Speaker said. How do humans use this ability called humor in your society? Jun stepped forward. He had prepared for this. Humor brings people together, he explained carefully. It helps us deal with stress and difficult situations. Several council members nodded. So far, so good. Next question, the Grand Speaker continued. Is humor used as a weapon on Earth? Han joined Jun. Not really, he said. Though my mother-in-law's jokes at family dinners are pretty deadly. A few aliens made the whistling laugh sound. Jun wanted to kick Han. This was supposed to be serious. High Counselor Vrux stood up. See how they cannot control themselves. Even in this formal setting, they make jokes. This unpredictability is dangerous. Counselor Mayray countered. Perhaps this adaptability is exactly what makes humans valuable. The Void Collective cannot understand or predict such behavior. The council erupted in loud debate. Some supported Mayray. Others agreed with Vrux. Jun felt sweat on his forehead. His nervous habit of making jokes under pressure was growing stronger. May I speak? He asked loudly. The room quieted. On Earth, we have a saying. Laughter is the best medicine. It means that humor helps us heal and stay strong during hard times. He was about to continue when a loud alarm sounded. Emergency drill, the Grand Speaker announced. All beings must move to safety areas. Confusion spread through the chamber. Many aliens moved slowly, unsure where to go. Jun saw a large decoration start to fall from the ceiling. It was heading straight for a group of council members. Look out, he shouted, running toward them. Han was faster. He grabbed a long pole from a nearby display and used it to push the falling decoration away. It crashed harmlessly to the side. Do-hyun quickly organized the nearby aliens. This way, please. Stay calm. Meanwhile, Jun found himself helping a small alien child who had been separated from its parent. He made funny faces to keep the child calm while they searched for its family. When the drill ended, everyone returned to the chamber. The mood had changed. You saved those council members, Su-bin whispered to Han. Just reacted. Han shrugged. Didn't think about it. High Counselor Vrux approached them. Your quick actions were helpful, he admitted reluctantly. But one good deed does not change the facts. Humans are too unpredictable for galactic society. An older alien stepped forward. She had been one of those Han had saved. I disagree, she said. I observed something important today. These humans use their unpredictability to help others. The boy used humor to calm a child. The food maker used quick thinking to prevent injury. The council murmured with interest. There is another matter, Do-hyun said, speaking publicly for the first time. We have learned that some council species cannot physically process humor. What does that mean? The Grand Speaker asked. It means their brains are wired differently, Du-hyun explained. They literally cannot understand jokes or find things funny. June looked at Vrux with sudden understanding. That's why you hate human humor. You can't experience it yourself. Vrux's face darkened. It is not a matter of hate. It is a matter of order. Maybe, June said, but it's also fear of what you don't understand. Before Vrux could respond, a new alarm sounded. This was not a drill. Void collective ship detected. Someone shouted. It has breached our outer defenses. The council erupted in panic. What do we do? Han asked. Mirai's face was grim. We pray your human unpredictability is as valuable as I believed. Red lights flashed throughout the council chamber. On a large screen, Jum could see a black ship approaching the planet. It looked like a giant metal spider with long, thin legs. Void collective vessel, a voice announced. All defense systems activated. Council members moved quickly to different stations. Some worked on computers. Others spoke into communication devices. What's happening? June asked Mirai. The Void Collective rarely attacks directly, she explained, looking worried. This is unusual. High Counselor Vrux approached. Our standard defenses are not working, he said grimly. The Void ship has adapted to our weapons. What do they want? Han asked. Information, Mirai said. They collect data on all organic life. They believe their machine intelligence is superior. Do-hyun was watching the screen closely. Look at how they move, he said. Always in perfect patterns, always logical. Suddenly, a mechanical voice filled the chamber. Attention, organic beings. We require data on the new species detected. Send representatives for scanning or face destruction. They mean humans, Subin whispered. They detected you and want to study you. The council leaders gathered quickly to discuss options. June could see fear on their faces. We must fight, Vrux argued. Our weapons are ineffective, another counselor replied. Perhaps we could negotiate, Mirai suggested. While they argued, Jun had an idea. Let me talk to them, he said. Everyone turned to stare at him. That is not possible, Vrux said. You have no diplomatic training. I'm a comedian, Jun replied. I talk to tough crowds all the time. This is not a joke. Vrux snapped. Exactly, Jun said. They won't expect jokes. They won't understand them. Mirai looked thoughtful. The Void Collective operates on pure logic. Perhaps something illogical might confuse their systems. It's worth trying, Do-hyun added. Our normal approaches aren't working. After more debate, the council reluctantly agreed. They set up a communication link to the Void ship. Remember, be careful, Subin warned June. Don't make them angry. June nodded and stepped up to the communication panel. The screen showed a metallic face with glowing blue eyes. Greetings, June said. I'm a human from Earth. Human. The mechanical voice replied. Prepare for data extraction. Before you scan me, Jun said, I have a question. Why did the robot go to therapy? There was silence. The metallic face didn't move. Because it had too many screws loose. Jun finished. The blue eyes flickered. Error. Statement contains logical inconsistency. Robots do not require therapy. Explain. It's a joke, Jun said. Jokes often don't make logical sense. That's what makes them funny. Funny. Unknown parameter, the voice replied. Explain funny. As June continued telling jokes, Do-hyun watched the Void ship on another screen. Its attack pattern is changing, he said excitedly. It's diverting resources to process June's communication. Han stepped up beside June. Let me try something. Why don't scientists trust atoms? Because they make up everything. The mechanical face froze briefly. Error. Wordplay detected. Multiple meaning conflict. Do-hyun's eyes widened. That's it. Their systems struggle with double meanings and wordplay. We need more jokes, Jum said. Lots of them. The worse, the better. Mireille quickly organized council members to find all information about Earth humor in their databases. Su Bin helped translate jokes from different cultures. Even Vrux joined in. Our scientists have some understanding of human wordplay, he admitted. We will assist. Soon, they were bombarding the void ship with jokes, puns, and silly questions. The mechanical face began to glitch, its eyes flickering erratically. Why does not? Compute. Chicken. Road. Illogical. The voice stuttered. On the screen, the void ship's movement became irregular. Some of its systems appeared to shut down. It's working. Han shouted. Their systems can't handle the illogic. All defense stations, Mireille commanded. Target the ship now, while its systems are compromised. The Council's weapons finally broke through the void ship's defenses. The black vessel retreated, moving away from the planet. The chamber erupted in cheers. Many council members surrounded June and Han, patting them on the back and making whistling laugh sounds. Vrux approached slowly. Your humor was effective, he admitted. Perhaps there is value in unpredictability after all. June smiled. Does this mean Earth passes the evaluation? That, Vrux said, with something almost like a smile, requires further discussion. 3 days after the void ship attack, June, Han, Su Bin, and Du Hyun were invited to a special council meeting. The room was smaller than the main chamber, but still impressive, with a large round table in the center. This is the High Council room, Su Bin explained. Only the most important decisions happen here. Mireille greeted them warmly. Your actions against the Void Collective have changed many minds, she said. The Council is now ready to discuss Earth's future role in galactic society. That sounds serious, Jun said nervously. It is, Du Hyun agreed, but also an opportunity. They took seats at the table. Across from them sat Vrux and several other council leaders. Vrux still looked stern, but less hostile than before. We have reviewed all data regarding humans, Vrux began formally. While your species remains unpredictable and somewhat chaotic, we cannot deny your effectiveness against the Void Collective. Thanks, I think, Han said. The question now, Mireille added, is how Earth should join the galactic community. We usually follow standard integration procedures, but your case is unique. What are the options? Jun asked. A council member with blue skin spoke up. Normally, we would place observers on your planet for 100 years before allowing limited space travel. 100 years, Han exclaimed. That's too long. I agree, Mireille said. The Void Collective won't wait that long. We need human unpredictability now. Vrux frowned. But we cannot simply break all our rules and traditions. The council members began to argue. Some wanted to follow traditional procedures. Others wanted to make exceptions for Earth. The debate grew heated. Jun watched the serious faces around the table. He remembered his comedy shows back home, how tension always made jokes fall flat. Excuse me, he said, standing up. May I make a suggestion? The room quieted. On Earth, when people disagree, sometimes they take a break. They share a meal or do something fun together. It helps them see each other as people, not just opposing sides. What are you suggesting? Vrux asked suspiciously. A party, Han said, catching on to Jun's idea. A cultural exchange. Let us show you how humans celebrate, and you can show us your traditions too. That is not how we conduct serious business, one council member objected. Why not try something new? Mireille suggested. After all, new approaches are what helped us against the Void. After more discussion, the council agreed to a small cultural event that evening. Han immediately went to work preparing Earth foods, while Jun planned entertainment. That night, the formal council room was transformed. Tables of food from Earth and other planets lined the walls. Soft music played in the background. At first, the council members stood stiffly, unsure how to act. But as they tried Han's food and listened to Jun's stories, they began to relax. Do-hyun moved among the guests, helping translate jokes and cultural references. Soo-bin taught a group of aliens a simple Earth dance. Jun noticed Vrux standing alone by a window. He approached carefully. "Not enjoying the party?" Jun asked. "My species does not process enjoyment the same way as yours," Vrux replied. "But I am, observing with interest." "You know," Jun said, "not all humans understand every joke either. I have friends who never laugh at my comedy. We're all different, even within our own species." Vrux considered this. "Perhaps that is what makes your humor valuable. It is not one thing, but many things." "Exactly," Jun agreed. "It's about connecting, not dividing." By the end of the night, something had changed. Council members were talking freely with the humans, sharing stories, and even attempting jokes of their own. The next morning, Jun was surprised when Mireille handed him an official document. "The council has made its decision," she said. "Earth will be granted special status in the galactic community." "What does that mean?" Han asked. "It means," Vrux said, entering the room, "that Earth may establish an official presence here on Centris. Not as full members yet, but as special partners." "Partners in what?" Jun asked. Mireille smiled. "In finding new ways to solve old problems, beginning with the Void collective threat." Jun looked at his friends. "So we're like galactic diplomats now." "Not exactly traditional diplomats," Do-hyun said with a rare smile. "Something new, something uniquely human." 1 year later, Jun stood at the large window of a new building in the heart of Centris. The sign outside read Earth Embassy in both Earth languages and galactic standard symbols. But everyone called it by its unofficial name, the Humor Embassy. "Still can't believe this is real," Jun said, watching alien ships fly past. Han joined him at the window. "I know. 1 minute I'm selling noodles in Seoul, the next I'm running a restaurant that serves aliens from 1,000 worlds." Han's restaurant took up the entire ground floor of the embassy. It had become famous across Centris for its Earth flavors and relaxed atmosphere. Every day, aliens of all kinds came to eat, talk, and experience human culture. "Ambassador Jun," called a voice. Soo-bin walked quickly toward them. She now wore an official Earth Council uniform and carried a tablet. "The Regelian delegation is here for their appointment." Jun straightened his jacket. His title was actually Laughter Ambassador, a position created specially for him. His job was to teach aliens about human humor and creativity. "What's their issue this time?" Jun asked. "Trade negotiations with the Polex system are stuck," Soo-bin explained. "Neither side will compromise." "Sounds like they need a new perspective," Jun said with a smile. In a meeting room, 6 serious-looking aliens sat stiffly around a table. Jun entered with a friendly wave. "Welcome to Earth Embassy," he said. "I hear you're having some problems." "This is a serious matter," one alien said. "We have been arguing for 3 months with no progress." "Perfect," Jun replied. "The longer the argument, the more you need a break from it." He led them through simple exercises designed to break tension. They told jokes from their own cultures. They played silly word games. At first, they were reluctant, but soon they were making the whistling sound of alien laughter. In another part of the embassy, Do-hyun led a different kind of meeting. As head of diplomatic relations, he worked with species who couldn't process humor. He found other ways to help them understand human creativity. "Unpredictability doesn't have to be funny to be valuable," he often explained. "It can simply offer new solutions." By the end of the day, the Regelian delegation had found a compromise that worked for everyone. They left the embassy in good spirits. Another success, Soo-bin noted, updating her records. "They just needed to stop taking themselves so seriously," Jun said. That evening, as the embassy staff gathered for dinner at Han's restaurant, a special guest arrived. "High Counselor Vrux," Han greeted. "Your usual table is ready." Though he would never admit it publicly, Vrux had become a regular visitor to the embassy. He claimed it was for research purposes, but everyone knew he enjoyed the atmosphere. "How are preparations for the Galactic Comedy Festival?" Vrux asked as he sat down. "Almost ready," Jun said. 27 worlds are participating this year, double the number from last year. The Galactic Comedy Festival had been Jun's idea, a way for different species to share what made them laugh. It had become a popular annual event. The council still officially disapproves of such chaos, Vrux said, though without much conviction. Yet unofficially, half the council members have tickets, Mayray said, joining them at the table. Mayray had been promoted to senior counselor, largely due to the success of the Earth experiment, as some called it. "Any news about the Void Collective?" Jun asked in a lower voice. "They have not attempted another direct attack," Mayray replied. "Our humor defense strategies seem to be working." Teams of humans now worked with Council defense forces, creating unpredictable patterns and responses that the Void ships couldn't adapt to. As they ate dinner, Jun looked around at the busy restaurant. Aliens from dozens of worlds sat together, talking and laughing. Some tried to tell jokes in the human style. Others shared their own forms of humor. Not all of it translated well. Not everyone understood every joke, but they were trying. They were connecting. "A year ago, the Galactic Council hated us because we were too funny," Jun said. "Now look. They don't hate us anymore," Han asked. "Oh, some still do," Jun laughed. "But they need us. And maybe we need them too." Vrux raised his glass in a very human gesture he had learned. "To unpredictability," he said. Everyone joined the toast, human and alien together. "To unpredictability," they echoed. "The funniest force in the galaxy."